But you just described it, that right now we've hit this point in the industry again where everybody's stagnant, they're trying to retool, they can't figure it out. If I could give just one tip and drop the mic and walk away, it would be no matter how much things have changed technology-wise or business-wise, if you're in front of the right people, under the right conditions, all day long, not once a day, all day long, a certain number of them are going to want more. And they're going to want to stay with you. And you know, I could talk all day about it, but it just literally, it's not me. It's not my sisters who are in the same business. It's the position we create.
Boom! Troy, first question we ask everybody, what was the first concert that you've ever been to?
Yeah, Edgar Winter and Rick Derringer and Johnny Winter came out and played, and it was awesome. It was life-changing. My first concert was supposed to be Steely Dan, and they didn't come. And my cousin goes, go to Edgar Winter. And I swear it made me, you know, want to learn how to play the guitar. And I did. I taught myself how to play the guitar. It was huge. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Thanks for asking. Yeah. I've seen a lot of great people.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I love concerts. I love music. So it runs in my family.
Well, so for people who may not know you or are living under a rock, why don't you tell us about your background, where you've come from, how you ended up in insurance, and then now the coaching. I mean, it's just a spectacular career.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I lucked out when I first started. I like to kid every time I talk. I was given a big old book of business called The Phone Book by the farmer. And I scratched out an agency right where I'm at in Visalia, California. It's in the middle of the state of California. It was a small town at the time. It's still a small town by California standards. And I was taught to dial for dollars. And I did it. And I'm going to make the story short because it's a long story. But for 7 years, I worked by myself. That was the model, if you will, back then. They hired you. You created your own business. But they weren't ad staff. You know, it was all about you being the door knocker and selling insurance. Did okay. And in my 7th year, a light bulb went off and I changed my model, which changed my trajectory, which doubled the size of my book of business. For the first 7 years and 18 months, I doubled. You know, I just after 7 years, just in the next 18 months, I doubled the size of my business. And I've never looked back. I've never had a losing season. And I'm just one of the luckiest guys on earth. And that's catapulted to writing books, consulting to insurance carriers, which I was doing yesterday. I speak to groups all around the United States and North America and even across the pond. Just lucky. I pinch myself every day. So
it's funny how those who hustle are lucky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So take us through that. After the 7 years, the light bulb, take us through the light bulb moment.
Yeah, it was an epiphany. I went into my dentist's office because I'd gotten a call to clean my teeth. And I didn't want to come in because I was working by myself. You know, I had 1,500 accounts. I'm doing all the paperwork. I'm the king of auto, the king of property. I'm the king of life. I'm the king of business insurance. I'm the king of everything. And I'm just stressed out. And they want me to clean my teeth. Right. And I said, I'm too busy to come in. And the woman paused and she says, Troy, tooth decay does not understand busy. We need to come in and give you a teeth cleaning and make sure you don't have a cavity, because if you have a cavity and it's left unchecked, turns into a root canal turns into a crown. Troy, you get the big picture here. Just give us an hour and we'll just make sure you're in good shape and we'll have you on your way. And so I went into the dentist and I noticed the dentists ran their business different than me. They had somebody greeting them at the door, greeting patients on the phone, helping with filing, helping the dentist with patients. But that one person, and man, I'm telling you, it's still the key, having an executive assistant to make sure that the people are coming in to get their teeth cleaned, because a certain percentage of them got a cavity, certain percent of them need a crown or a tooth pulled. You get the idea here. It's just a game, right? And that's where I was screwed up in my 7th year. I just was doing more paperwork than people work, and I couldn't grow. So I went and hired somebody just like the dentist, and I modeled my office after the dentist. And literally, it just changed everything overnight. It just was unbelievable.
I think a lot of agents get caught up in this management of people and personalities and putting out fires. And what you're describing is the perfect set of processes and a system so that you don't need to manage the people, you're managing the processes.
That's exactly right. And I will tell you this, I've met some of the greatest agents, much bigger than me, you know, more revenue, more commission, bigger cars, bigger houses, bigger everything. But you just described it, that right now we've hit this point in the industry again, where everybody's stagnant, they're trying to retool, they can't figure it out. If I could give just one tip and drop the mic and walk away, it would be no matter how much things have changed technology-wise or business-wise, if you're in front of the right people, under the right conditions, all day long, not once a day, all day long, a certain number of them are going to want more. And they're going to want to stay with you. And you know, I could talk all day about it, but it just literally, it's not me. It's not my sisters who are in the same business. It's the position we create.
It's crazy. And so, and I know you've talked to a lot of agents. How do you get them to change that mindset?
So Jim Rohn always used to say, some will and some won't. Don't worry about the ones who won't, worry about the ones who will. And I buy into that because, you know, this year, I'll talk 100 to 100 groups outside of consulting, outside of just talking to you guys. I'll talk to 100 groups physically and not on video, in person. And it's like 2%, maybe 20, you know, if I'm rocking, maybe. But it's about 2% because most people go, well, I'm going to see if old Johnny does that. And if it works out, I'm going to do what Johnny did.
Right.
Mary, if Mary does it, I'm going to do that, right? I think it's, you know, I've learned some skills in project management, how to run a business, some simple things, because got a low threshold, man. I can get nudged off really fast.
What are some of those simple tips? Sorry,
good question. Here's $1 million tip. It is called the Law of 72. I start every talk I do with this, and I say the Law of 72 says if you get information and you don't take action on it within 72 hours, you are never going to. It's a use it or lose it world. And this is a content world. You guys are doing it, right? So I've been doing this 35 years and everybody goes, how do you keep growing? How do you keep getting better? And I saw you 20 years ago and you're better now. Because the Law of 72 says I block time for the things that are important. So I'll block 15 minutes to research you guys before I got online. I know you, okay? But 15 minutes, what's that out of my life, right? Now an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, I don't know you, right? So if I'm gonna meet with a client, I'm gonna spend 15 minutes in private thinking about the review I'm gonna do with them, thinking about how I'm gonna pivot and position them, right? And these are simple things, but if you look at my calendar, it's 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and right? And I can whip it out. And if I'm going to go to New York in a couple of weeks to do one of these in a live setting, I want to see as many people as I can while I'm in Manhattan, right? So I'll block 15 minutes to reach out to you, 15 minutes. And then project management's the same way. And I'm blocking time to think about these things. And if a review is important to my agency, then I block time for it for 15 minutes, move it forward to 2 days from now, block 15 more to think about it, block 15 more, create a strategy, create an execution plan, execute, and then inspect what I expect. 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes. And now I'm handling a million things. I can deal with a CEO that handles a $30, $40 billion company, or I can deal with a brand new agent that goes, dude, I'm having to park my car around the corner because I don't want him to come, you know, take it. I'm selling everything. I'm selling my house. I'm selling my cars. I'm selling everything. What do? Hey, man, we got 15 minutes. No problem. Let me give you a couple of quick tips. Now, I don't remember what your question was, but I hope that was a heck of an answer. Right?
That's awesome.
Cool.
It's,
and I know Craig
somewhere at the beginning, you were referring to people shopping for the answer they want to hear. Why do people do this, right? You gave them the plan, you gave them the execution strategy, and here they are. They have to go ask Jimbo over here who isn't doing it and not executing so they can reaffirm to stay complacent.
Fear. It just, everything boils down to, you know, my manager always used to say, kid, go out on a limb. That's where the fruit is, man. Just go out there. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. And it's an old saying, but you know, it's like, okay, why am I afraid, man? I mean, I'm telling you, I've made an idiot out of myself 100 times, right? My brother's a big musician and I went over the other day and they're really big. Their band is really famous, you know, locally, you know, it's a local band. And I go, man, you played that Beatles song the other day and dude, it was awful. Why did you do that in front of everybody? He goes, because dude, if I don't, I'm never going to get great at it. And I come back a couple weeks later And now they've mastered Help. And now that's one of their core songs, right? Or Hard Day's Night. And people who don't play don't realize that's hard, right?
Yeah.
But he has the guts to make an idiot out of himself. And I mean, I'm talking like, I was like, oh,
Terrible.
cringe, right? And that's, most people just don't want to do that. That's why I could have been a better musician, but I was afraid. Now I understand why I wasn't. But in insurance, I never had any fear, because it was like, hey man, I've won so many awards. If you want to laugh at me, laugh at me, right?
Right.
So I got no fear. Not everybody has that yet, right? But you can build that up. You can build the muscle.
Well, shoot,
The
you go out
courage to fail.
if you'll go out on stage and botch it, right? Intentionally almost, then it's not going to get any worse.
And they love you for it, man. You know, I'm telling you, when you get on stage and you admit that you're an idiot, if you watch me live, right? And I always tell the stupid stuff I did, right? And people love to hear about me having, this is a true story. My first application, the woman felt so sorry for me, she filled it out because she didn't want to wait for me to try to fill it out. And I call that the pity close, right? Sometimes you gotta yank that out, right?
Yeah.
But people, when you're up in front of people, they go, oh, if that guy can do that, I can do that, right?
Yeah.
So you just gotta, you know, your original premise of the question was, how do you get them to move? You got to meet them where they're at, man. You can't go, I sold $4 trillion to this guy one time. Well, that ain't going to happen, right? You know, I go looking for John. I say, where's John? He sold a $4 trillion annuity. I got to be like John. Where's John? They go, he's in jail, Troy. You know, and so I, you know, I quit trying. I just want to look. It's like golf. And today is like golf. And I'm telling you, this is the greatest time to be in our business ever. But it's the hardest time I've ever seen. It's the greatest time, but the hardest time. So for those who will retool, those who will dig down deep and aren't afraid, the amount of money you can make is unbelievable. But if you're just waiting for things, you know, the cross fingers method, it don't work anymore.
No, it doesn't.
You know, it used to, but it don't anymore. You got to have a strategy.
Yeah.
Can you define for us, why is it the greatest and why is it the hardest from everything that you've seen? I believe 25 years, right?
25 years on the road, 35 in the business. Yeah.
Wow. So you've seen trends, like tons of trends. Ups and downs.
Microfiche.
I saw microfiche. That's a good one. I'm going to remember that. Hey, man, I had the first fax machine. I would take the fax over to the mortgage company and it would turn black when I walked out into the sun. I remember what it was like. I remember having the first cell phone, right? And it was in a bag. You know, you remember the bag phone, right?
Yeah.
And my kids would call and say, hey, can we have pizza? I go, talk fast, man. It's $400 a minute. You know, and so I've seen all that. I helped create some CRM for insurance companies when nobody even knew what CRM was, right? They knew what it was because they'd heard about ACT or whatever, but they didn't know that you could relate all that to the insurance world. And so why is it the greatest time? Let me just take a pause right here. Because people have more. They have more things to protect, right? They used to just have a house and maybe a house and a car. But man, we got all the products, man. It's just unbelievable. So they have more, and it's more confusing because the internet was supposed to speed things up and help us get information. It don't, right? You type in bodily injury and property damage, and you get an ad from all our carrier friends that want to give you a quote over the phone. So you need somebody to hold their hand through the maze of madness. And I could go on because my book discussion partner and my book coming up here in about 3 or 4 months is about that. We've hit an inflection point where today, you know, people aren't going to be quoting like they used to. It's gotten down to 4 segments of customers. And you just got to be a part of the discussion partner one. If you're a discussion partner, you're printing money in the basement, man. And so I think it's the greatest time. It's the most complex because the model changed, and I got brought in a model that you guys got brought in on, which was sell lots of auto and home, and you'll be rich. And we made tons of money. But hey, the profit margin in auto and home just ain't there, but you still got to have auto and home. If you don't sell auto and home, you're not going to sell financial services. Auto and home equals business insurance. People buy from people they know and trust. So if you help them with a low margin product like auto or home, and it's very intensive, then you're able to offer the big daddies And those are the products that make just tons of money, right? So you just got to flip the model upside down. And if you do, then everybody wins. But one last thing, the customer's in control. It's just bottom line. It's not a slogan. I don't care what the companies say. I don't care what the carriers say. The customer's in control. And if you don't give them what they want, bam, you're gone. Toast.
That's awesome.